nonetheless exist in visible measures somewhere in the course of activities in a place. In Peninsular Europe work, we propose that a new pattern can emerge by envisioning a new set of relationships between that which already exists in reality, or in plans, or in the visions of others, and in visions of our own, both conceptually and on the ground. This translates as more of this and less of that. Finally, the vision, Peninsular Europe, the future garden, bringing forth a new state of mind, is intended to suggest that a new synthesis is available, a rebalancing of the parts wherein, if different relationships form, a new pattern of organization will emerge, a pattern wherein each part, self-nourishing, self-sustaining in its own right, acts in support of a whole, which will complicate itself in ways valuable to its own well-being, but is yet unknowable in the now of its beginning.
You were right. She's always right. I've been accused of having poor instincts. Next.
The last work.
The last work we'll show is, it's actually been shown 4 or 5 times in Europe, in England. It opens in City Hall on Friday, London City Hall, by the, in the lower rotunda. What it suggests, what we were commissioned to do by a government agency, DEFRA, I forget the thing, was to make a model of England, wherein, next, wherein the, with projectors coming down upon it, you could actually see what a 2-meter rise, a 4, 6, 8, 10, 12 meter rise, 10 meter rise would be, and what storm surges would be, next. And we did this. So you'll see the model. You can't see what's on it, though. And what the issue was, we took for granted that the oceans are rising, next. And the question was, next. And the question was, what would the upward movement of people be like? What's graceful? Because right now, the whole discourse is on money and how you're going to make money on it. If you're going to make money on the upward movement of people, you're going to do development with somewhat more carbon neutral housing. That's not the way to go. You really need to go in a whole other direction. Next. 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 So, what we proposed was we proposed 3 alternate futures. One was for the City of London. One was for each a different watershed. And one was for the Pennine Mountains. Next. Next. And so we designed a Pennine village. And what we did was we put, with a team from Sheffield University, what we did was pose the question, what kind of a landscape did we have to invent that, since it's it's deforested, the soil is poor, there's very few people living up there. Next. What kind of landscape did we have to invent that would sequester carbon, that would have a herding situation, that would completely reverse the present farming economics? Next. So, that's 40 square miles, mistake. So we decided to work, we began to invent, we've worked with a concept we call the open canopy forest and the meadows. We know about forestry, we know about meadows, we put them together. And it turns out, next, that, okay, let's see how we can do this shortly. It turns out that you can herd about maybe, if you use the old species of Wisant, that live off the land, and you herd the way herding once was done, and you don't demand maximum monocultural thinking. You got to give up monocultural thinking altogether. And where you start to harvest many small things instead of one big thing. And the act of harvesting the many small things is designed in such a way that the harvest preserves the system, so that you become, the farmer, the harvester, becomes niched into the system much the way the wolf would be niched into the system where the caribou are concerned. And so we did a little check on this, and we found out that 42 square miles was the max you needed. We found out that it would sequester about 40% of the local carbon footprint of 8,000 people. And then we began to invent what a village would look like. And we invented a platform. We invented in such a way that, you know, the most hurt thing in the world is the soil, the whole ecosystem in the soil. So we began to invent a way of placing a village on the land in such a way that the foundations would be regarded as occasional rocks by the flow of water and by the flow of life, both latitudinal and up and down in the soil itself. So that's what we're into now. We have a team. In a week we go to tries to see if we can't do this on the moorlands, the Exmoor and Dartmoor, a couple thousand square mile area. And so that's what we're at as we speak. Thank you very much.
I would like
I want to say one last thing. Finally understanding that the news about glacial melt and climate change is neither good nor bad. It is simply that great differences are upon us, that great changes are upon us as a culture, and great changes are upon all planetary life systems. And the news really is about how we will meet these changes and be transformed by them, or in turn transform them. Thank you.
you got 2 minutes.